Sometimes you may want to actually stealth or change a little bit of how you're doing things to obscure the attack or to thwart any kind of intermediate protection. So instead of just typing spaces into the URL, you might use %20 or some escape codes. You saw the use actually of always true statements, 1 equals 1 or A equals A, or parameter name equals parameter name. That's always going to be the same. Occasionally you can use comment fields to actually obscure the attack, like you'll just stick a comment at the end of a line of SQL code because maybe the SQL server is not expecting that. Spaces and quotes, again, trying to escape those or use those to hide the attack. Those are all really, really common attack methods for SQL injection code obfuscation, if you will. I think that's the best way to say it, you're trying to obfuscate the fact that you're attacking the SQL server from the web app and the web server so that this command is sent straight into the SQL database without any scrubbing or analysis. Why do SQL attacks work? I hear this all the time. And ultimately, it comes down to thinking about how this stuff works. The web front end is trusted by the database. The database trusts anything coming from the web front end. And you've got two root causes really at all this. First of all, the most obvious one that we've talked about a couple of times here is no sanitization. The web front end and the web app are not checking for SQL code in the parameters. So if they're expecting a username in the form of an email name, mikedan@example.com, and they receive mikedan@example.com semicolon drop table users, well, the web front end, some component of it, whether it's a specific security module or part of the web server or part of the web app or maybe all of those things, should be looking for that kind of attack. They should be looking for that kind of, I don't expect this here. Maybe I should get rid of it, or maybe I should reject the connection entirely, or maybe I should go ring a bell for an administrator to come by. Or removing it entirely is this concept of sanitization, looking at it and saying, okay, I'll just delete everything that shouldn't be in this field. If there's only letters, numbers, and an @ symbol here, and I see a semicolon, I'm going to delete the semicolon, or I'm going to delete the semicolon and everything after it. That is the most common violation. Another violation or another root cause here is the violation of the principle of least privilege. The principle of least privilege, you probably remember, is the concept that the connection or the context, security context here, should do the minimum amount of work necessary or have the minimal amount of privilege necessary to complete whatever the job is. So the fact that the web front end has a highly privileged connection to the database, not the user context, not even a typical user context or even a slightly privileged user context, but a administrative level or a management level context to the database, that's a violation of the principle of least privilege. It's usually both of these together that actually combine to enable SQL injection attacks.